Hey guys, welcome back to Russian Libertors Corpus YouTube channel, where we, Alexei Postnikov and Gala Bagatova, answering your questions about Russia, talking about Russian society, Russian political system, and trying to clear up the informational space and the mist around Russia, because there are a lot of mist right now, since Russia is turning into closed hardcore military fascist dictatorship, which is terrible.
Right.
However, today we're going to address more of your questions from the comment section under our videos, and we're going to do this all the time.
Okay.
We're going to do it more. So today is part 2. So without further ado, let's address some comments.
So under the video where Alex and I are reconstructing Russian future in our imagination, somebody left a comment. Thank you so much for commenting. The person, the subscriber says, I think that the future of Russia is so unclear at the present moment. Just can't build hypotheses around that.
Yeah.
Right?
So what would you? It's not exactly a question, more of a statement, but would you address that statement? Because I would.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think the goal of our video is specifically to show different trajectories that we can envision. Of course, we cannot hypothesize, meaning that we cannot predict the future, but hypotheses are very helpful ideational constructs when you understand that they are not 100% reliable predictions of the future, but certain scenarios that you can either prepare yourself for or contribute to. What is the scenario that you personally would like to see? And from then, if you see that picture, from then you can take actions to either do your best to contribute to that particular scenario, or if you understand that there's a scenario that is the most predictable and the most realistic, then you take steps to either adapt to that future reality or avoid it. So in my understanding, constructing future, hypothesizing about Russia, to me personally, means imagining the possibilities and creating more possibilities on top of it, or contributing to the possibilities of the better future. So I would disagree with that statement that we cannot hypothesize. I think we can hypothesize, and we should. Yet we need to understand that those are just possible scenarios that have nothing to do with predictions. What do you think?
Right. Well, I totally agree with that. And I think generally in every situation, personal experience, we still hypothesizing about our future without knowing what's going to happen. We make plans, and it's kind of the same construct. I understand that emotionally it's way harder to do now, because Russia, after Russia started this war, it kind of going more and more on the side of like the world outcasts, turning into some sort of North Korea for a lot of people, which is understandable, but also it's terrible. And I think we need to do we Russians definitely need to do something about it if we don't want to lose our country forever, till the end of,
Right.
Yeah. So that's why we need to talk about it, and mostly to, as Gala said, to prepare ourselves to anything as much as we could, to anything that would happen with Russia, to just know what to do in case Putin will die tomorrow and be deposed tomorrow. What's going to happen after that?
Right.
And besides that, it's for Russians also, please understand, it's a little bit therapeutic to think about how, with like this small of chance, we can still maybe get our country back, and what do we need to do to make it happen. All right, so let's go to the next comment. The same video about possible future of Russia, what's going to happen. All right, Hope Russia can renew itself, but it's going to take a lot of time. Maybe start with sending all your war criminals for sentencing ASAP. Needs brave Russians to rise up and fight for a new free Russia. Well, on one hand, again, it's not a question, more of a statement, which I think needs to be addressed to avoid, I would say, even delusions about the reality. Because right now, Russia is effectively, I would say, transforming into totalitarian state, at least government, definitely, steering in that direction. And you don't have a lot of successful overthrowing stories of a totalitarian state, maybe except, no, I think from within.
Right. It is.
Yes.
It is very, like, first of all, I wanted to thank for this comment, Andrew. Thank you so much for this optimistic statement and for engagement with the future of our country. But I would like to, again, I agree with you, Alex, and I would just, I would like to bring the expectations as well back to the reality, because you cannot really fight totalitarian regime, because it dismantles people, it isolates individuals, it creates the politics of depoliticization and forces people to shut down. There also is an enormous power imbalance between the actual power elites and the grassroots movements, whatever they are. It is unrealistic to understand that thousands and millions of people will be willing to just suicide to see the future of Russia, because they are not suffering to the extent where they could have just commit suicide, When we're talking about Tsarist regime, it was tackled when it was already weak in terms of resources inside the country. While Putin is probably much weaker, not probably, it's obviously he's much weaker in the international arena than before. At home, he's still extremely strong. At home, he has the leverage. At home, he has all the resources in his hands. So it's not realistic to expect. It's realistic. There is a hypothesis that it's possible. Any scenario is possible. But in my understanding, there are very, very few historical cases where totalitarian regimes, especially in such a huge country as Russia, who has been compliant for so many years, to expect that Putin will be overthrown from the bottom. And when you say fight, it can mean different things. Brave Russians can fight Putin from abroad by informational weaponry, for example, but expecting that they all just become a grassroots army out of nowhere without the splits in the elite, I'm afraid this is the false expectations.
And also, I don't know if you're from United States. In United States, it's legal to bear firearms. In Russia, it's not. So basically what we're talking about rising up situation is going to be people, unarmed people, facing all the Russian law enforcement armed.
Right.
So, I mean, you don't need to be like a big war strategist to imagine how this will go, because right now, I don't think anybody has any, doubts that Putin be ready to order open fire on its own citizens. I think yes. Yeah.
With pleasure.
So it doesn't sound that super, romantic, that sort of bravery, but I think not participating in the state control, activities supporting the war, being silent but not passive, being actively against the war, at least here in your head, which is, again, doesn't sound that dramatic, but I think it's really brave for any Russian who just does not agree with what's going on, because they're going to be without that, we cannot hope for any future for Russia.
Which is very sad, right? It is really, really sad. I'm sorry to say that. I wish I could say Russians are definitely going to do it. And they need to and they have to. But unfortunately, there are not a lot of historical evidence that this is even possible.
All right. And that's the comment under our video reviewing Russian propaganda commercials. Which was, check it out if you haven't seen it. This one is kind of funny because it's Russian commercials for Western audience. Cringy, but funny. All right, so the comment goes like this. This video simply reveals Russian subconsciousness, how dark it is, full of envy, jealousy, anger, lust. If you're not with me, so damn your attitude. That is a really toxic psyche, if not to say even sick. Which, again, statement, not a question. But, and again, I think it should be addressed because you can definitely say that about those videos because they adopting the tropes of the very dark, even archaic understanding of the world. But
saying that it's Russian consciousness, I would to me, like the purpose why we're here in this YouTube channel. Still, I would like to thank Ilya for the comment. But we're here in this channel to make our viewers and our subscribers aware of the danger of generalization in case of Russians. What I suggest here is to understand that what this reveals is the subconsciousness of a certain population and of of the elites who either contributed to the creation of this piece of art and promotion. Also, those people who will be the victims of those videos, right? The people who are consumers of the narrative like that. There are definitely people who will represent the fruitful soil for this kind of narrative, but they're not the entire Russian people.
And they're not even a majority by any rough estimation. So that's... I understand where all this comments coming from. It's emotional and it's really easy to suggest anything and just put this umbrella under, like the whole nation, any group of people. But for that, what I want you to think about is this is exactly how Russian propaganda and how Russian side in this war works. Because all Ukrainians are like ... like Nazis or Russians, like Russians who forgot that they are Russians. So I was born in Soviet Union, so and I kind of did my thinking about that too. So now I have a pretty strong, I would say, allergy on any totalitarian practices, structures, behavior, and even phrasing. And in a way, when you're generalizing anything, like all ... are ...
Right, stereotyping. So
yes.
I understand it is sometimes it's unavoidable. We cannot always calculate what we're saying. It's sometimes indeed very emotional, and you just simplify the reality to express your ideas. It's totally normal. And in other circumstances, I would just ignore that. I would understand that the person probably didn't mean to say all Russian consciousness is like that. But because we're on this channel and this is the part of our mission, we have to draw your attention to this tiny matter that matters to us.
Yeah, and we cannot avoid generalizations in our life because that's how our brain works.
Right.
Still, we need to be aware of the consequences of generalizing, especially when we're talking about any groups of people, because, it's a pretty short walk to any totalitarian way of thinking about anyone. And, that's the history of racism, that's the history of any genocide, that's how it started.
Right.
just as
yeah, it starts from small, and then it grows bigger and bigger, and then the person is only associated to the class, race, ethnic root, or gender, and this is the reason for him to be an alien, an outsider, or to be dead. So we don't want that for those Russians who can be the chance for the Russian better future, and who can be a glue to the reintegration of Russia to the global community. For that, I would call you to be aware of what you're generalizing and the consequences it can have for certain people. But still, I'm very happy you guys dropped the comments. I strongly encourage you to share all the thoughts that you have. If you want to generalize, go ahead, generalize it right in our comments, so that we, Alex and I, can deconstruct it in in our videos.
Yeah, and just we're open to any discussion, and I think that's the most important thing about our channel here, that we want to participate in discussions. We want to share our point of view, to give the voice for those Russians who can't raise the voice in Russia right now. And believe me, we're not the nation of like terrible cave people who just want to kill anything that moves or something.
Oh my
like
God,
that.
this is like a scenario from a horror movie or something.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for part 2 of our addressing your questions, and we're gonna do more, be sure. So again, any questions about this video, about anything you want to know about Russia, just go in the comment section and leave 1 or 2 questions. Also, please like this video if you like it, share this video, show it to your friends, and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. And with that, see you next time.
See you.